That is the sound of Wednesday. It is Wednesday. That means Wednesday. It is PDT time. Graham is once again dead, and because he's dead, Andrew and I will have just a whole ton of nerd conversation, and we've invited back our resident comic book expert, Yaki-san,
aka Jackie, also known as the comic book killer.
that was seamless. That was.
I have all of the comic book knowledge.
I put that down just a little bit.
I put about 5 seconds of thought into that, and you can count out that space while I'm thinking about what to say. Yeah, this is real good.
Okay, so because Graham's not here, and Graham would put a damper on talking about like good stuff, he's in New York currently, probably, I don't know, doing something dumb.
Playing Galaga, or
yeah, probably playing Galaga. He set a high score on an arcade Galaga machine. We're all proud, but he didn't call it PDT, so we fired him. Also, he died.
But he's going to a wedding, and I hope. Forget their names. Oh,
John and Jen. Happy wedding, John and Jen.
Be married. Be happy.
Congratulations.
Be married and be merry. Bang bang. Okay.
Good one.
So real quick, we'll do stories from the week, and then we'll get into the main event of sorts.
Yeah.
So what's going on, everybody?
Got anything going on, Yaki?
Yaki-san, you're done with school.
Yeah.
Yaki-san, you were victim of a surprise party last weekend.
Victim's the right word.
I mean,
it was not great. Like, we tried, but
I think everyone there had a great time.
Especially Kyle.
Especially Kyle, and especially Graham.
Yeah.
I just want to set the record straight. I was surprised and I was happy. You just saw my tired, confused face.
So for those who weren't there,
you open the door.
So for those who weren't there, we did this in Ashley from, I think it was episode 4. Sure.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. So episode 4, you heard Ashley and Cassie. We went to Ashley's apartment, put all these decorations, blew up some balloons, and we awaited for Jackie to arrive. Jackie had been told she was going to go, I believe, try a new restaurant.
And go on a walk,
Ashley,
which sounds fantastic.
Which sounds like a good time, so Jackie is pretty pumped. And Ashley's looking through the peephole, and
disappointed her with the party.
Yeah, so as Jackie's approaching, Ashley opens up the door, and we're all like, yeah, woo!
Happy
we're clapping,
birthday!
And we're like, happy end of school. And Jackie just looks at us with this look that's like, what's happening?
You did a Christmas.
Yeah, and she had this really confused look. I didn't think that you were upset. Apparently, Kyle thought she was a little upset.
Because he repeated it multiple times.
I mean, to be fair,
Ashley,
he was drunk.
I was talking to Ashley, and she was like, well, I mean, you looked pretty mad. And it's like, I'm sorry I have that kind of resting face.
You looked confused, but to be fair, I would have been confused if you opened up the door and everyone was just standing in a line and was like, yeah! And then just threw balloons at you.
And I wasn't expecting it, and
it wasn't
Graham
your
was
birthday. Right.
Exactly.
It wasn't your birthday. It wasn't Christmas. It was just like, you're done with school, which is not something normally people would throw a party for. And so it's not like, everyone's gone and I'm being invited to a party around my birthday. It's like, oh, this is probably a surprise birthday party. But there was no real significant
completely out of the blue.
event.
You saw my true confused face.
A Thursday, and Jackie was like, oh, my first day not working. The 3 of us had gotten lunch, and it was like, we did something, and we were like, we're going to go do something.
Right.
It's a little earlier, so we'll see you later, Yaki-san. We took off, and then you showed up.
Unfortunately, that was my very, I had just ended that day.
we're good.
Okay. I was like, I just ended work that day, and so I'm already completely exhausted.
Yeah.
The past several days of closing down my computer lab and everything, and moving desks around and rewiring stuff was just exhausting. So I was exhausted and then just very confused. So apparently I looked angry. But that's just my face.
Not angry, just disappointed.
You looked to me you looked confused. Apparently you looked disappointed.
Cassie said
really.
I looked confused because you guys are my
Yeah, we know
siblings.
you better.
So you know my confusion.
I didn't really get angry. I think you were like, I genuinely just got like people. There are people who really love surprises, and when they get surprised, they're like,
They shed tears.
But I don't take you as someone who really loves surprises. So when we surprised you, you were like, "What?"
You were like, "Thank you."
What's happening? Why is everyone paying attention?
It looks like you wanted to turn around and go, "For you." Oh wait, there's no one behind you.
And then the rest of the party went off without a hitch. Anyway,
well, I mean, we planned events to do, but then it didn't get there because about 30 minutes after dinner, Kyle was like, "Hey, let's do shots," and we were like, And then Kyle did 5 shots. And
they were uncompeted shots, by the way. It wasn't like, I'll do a shot, then you do a shot. It was like,
first round,
I'll do a shot,
like,
then I'll do 3 more shots.
Well, the first drink of just hard alcohol was while you guys
we're trying to get more alcohol.
Going and getting more alcohol.
Well,
so
the first hard one he had was, we were all there. He was like, "Hey, let's all do a shot." And we were all like, "I'll do a shot."
Well, but he was like sipping rum while we were gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what he had, like some good rum.
It wasn't much, but it was enough to have too much while he was gone.
It was not good rum, by the way. It was very cheap rum, but
then he gets back and we're like, "Well, I'll do a shot." And so Kyle pours the shot to the shot. We're all passing around. We sit down and he pours another one, pours and just puts another one down, and we're like, "Okay,
I need to catch up." Kyle, stop. What was that? Do more shots?
He said, "Do more shots."
Right.
And then I walked in the other room, and I hear Graham from the other room go, "No, Kyle, not another one." And then I see Kyle's head just tilt back, and I'm like, "Ah, jeez." It comes out to the night, he ends up having within 20 minutes, it was like 4 or 5 shots.
He had like 4 or 5 shots, and then other alcohol as well.
And then it was like, you ever tried to keep a baby bottle away from a small toddler and they cry? Right. Kyle was just being one drink denial away from crying.
Big heckin' BB.
Carrying his
Kyle is hilarious when he's drunk.
Drunk Kyle's the best.
He's a pretty harmless drunk.
He just talks a lot and wants to go do dumb stuff.
And wants to be friends with everybody.
He mostly just wants to drink more alcohol.
Yeah, he just wants to have more, which we've all been there.
So anyone in the kitchen, it's like, "You making me another drink?" It's like,
and then
"No,
we're like,
Kyle,
it's water and grenadine, and it's really gross.
It's really vile."
And he's like, "There's no alcohol in this." We're like, "Yeah, it's this new kind of subtle alcohol." And he's like, "Oh, I got you. Wink, wink."
Right.
And then he pounds it back.
No more
twitching his eyes.
But I did enjoy Kyle's. My favorite quote of the night is, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna go make some snow angels and go pick up Jay," which is their dog. And we were like,
May?
"It's May." So Kyle stopped drinking and no.
And then they talked about cocaine and
because there's no snow in May, so the only other white substance.
So Graham thought it'd be a great idea to just.
I mean, other options were like flour, sugar, flour,
not cocaine,
definitely not drugs.
Yeah,
but
which is comical because neither of those people who were drunk knew anywhere to get cocaine.
I don't know anyone who would know where to get cocaine, as far as I know.
I know a guy who I was friends with in high school who I was like, if I messaged him on Facebook and was like, "Hey, cocaine?" he'd be like, "How much?"
I'm realizing I know someone who would know someone who would know how to do it.
I don't think I do.
It's because one of my coworkers came from a seedy part of the country. That's as much detail as I figure I want to give out.
Vermont.
I mean...
Way to say
it. I mean, Vermont's probably the whitest place on the planet, except for maybe Iceland, where I think they don't have black people. Like, they haven't invented them yet. Yeah, we're gonna cut that out. Anyway,
you got any stories from the week?
I had to work a lot this week, which wasn't horrible. Made that cash, made that dough. I edited. There were like 3 papers in a row where they would put citations on things that are very obvious, which is sort of annoying.
The Earth is round. You don't need to cite that.
Right. It was stuff. It wasn't that, but it was pretty much that. It was like one of them was like, figuring out how to solve problems is inescapable in life, and I was like, yeah. Why do you need a citation on this? Why? Or there was one. In a more concrete version, there was one person who was like, before they had electronic medical records, everything was on paper. And I was like, well, you're a grad student. I'm assuming you're not 15. So you were there when they had paper charting and stuff. You don't need a citation for this. Even if you were not there, it's a logical thing.
The level of paper
we didn't have electronic forms of this, so what did we do? Non-electronic forms.
We wrote it down.
Well, what was that at the time? It wasn't carving it in stone, so it was probably what's the word? Paper.
Yeah. I feel like the level of what information needs a citation changes as the level of paper you're writing, where if a 6th grader were to write that, they might put a citation on it. I'd be like, okay.
Right.
Like you said, a grad student, no.
Right.
That would be common knowledge, especially in whoever would be reading that paper.
Well, if it's like an elementary school, or even if it's just treated as like, you need practice writing citations, then fine. But you're a grad student. You don't need more citations in your paper. You already have 300 more than you need just because you're citing everything because you have no original thought.
As your body grows bigger, your mind must flower. It's great to learn. Knowledge is power.
Stories from the week?
Well, I worked quite a bit over the last 4 days, meaning I worked 4 days over the last 4 days.
Ooh. This is the Wednesday after Memorial Day, by the way, just to date this.
So I worked 3 days, basically, where I worked like a 5-hour, then an 8-hour, and then a 5-hour shift. Then yesterday, I looked at the schedule, and it's like 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I was like, what? Because I live like 20 minutes away from work, so I'm like, I'm going to be driving 40 minutes to work for 2 hours. And I was like, hey, Sean, who is my manager, and I was like, why am I working 2 hours? She's like, oh, the regional manager, which is, my manager has a boss named Heather. Her boss is the regional manager named Brandon. He's like, hey, Brandon's coming in, and he likes to meet all the new people. And I started working there a year ago, so Brandon considers me new. So I had to come in for 2 hours to shake his hand and be like, hi, I'm Andrew. And he'll go, hi, I'm Brandon. And then I did my job to make it look like I know what I'm doing.
It's the end of the interaction.
It would have been, but there were customers, so that wasn't it.
Bummer.
I was in there helping people, doing my job. Things happen. Brandon's like, hey, Andrew, why didn't they buy anything? And I was like, oh, well, she wanted a white sandal. So I showed her all 4 white sandals that we have in the whole company. And he was like, okay. And I was like, she tried that one on. She's like, I hate the way this feels. I showed her those 2, and she's like, they're ugly. I will not try them on. I tried to get the other one. It's not available in her size in the entire company. And they were like, stink. And I'm like, so I showed her some other ones. And she was like, it's not white. So she left. And they were like, you can't win them all. And I'm like, thank you. And then other ones happened.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. And so the history I have with when higher-ups come into our store is having a bad sales day, which makes me look really dumb. Because it's like, Sean's like, hey, Heather's coming in. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I come in and I sell a shoe the whole day.
Not a pair of shoes.
No, one single shoe for some reason. I didn't think it was possible. And Heather's like, Andrew, are you just bad at your job? Because that's not even possible. And I'm like, maybe, probably, yeah.
You try selling shoes to a guy with one leg.
Yeah.
I want your two shoe upcharge.
Yeah. But another lady came in, ordered shoes online, normal sell, and they weren't there because they're off recruiting people. Because it's surprising how few people want to work at a shoe store. It's not surprising.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, it's not great. It pays well. Anyway, And so this last customer comes in, and she's like, hey, my shoes are bad. I want new ones. And I was like, well, you're in the right place. That's a direct quote. And she was like, oh, good. Well, I want something with support. I'm like, still in the right place. We go through this long sale. I'm not going to take you guys through the extensive version I told my family yesterday. I go through the whole kind of sales pitch. I tell her about pretty much every single additional product she could get, because I'm like, my boss's boss and then her boss is also in here. I'm like, I'm going to do my job perfectly. And so I went through it, and this lady, when she came in, was like, I want one clearance shoe because I don't want to spend more than $50. She ended up leaving with like a shoe. It's like a $140 shoe. Upgraded something that was another $30. Got $12 in other stuff, and then $20 in some other stuff, and ended up spending around $240 after tax and all this other junk. And when I'm done, I go in the back, put shoes away. Brandon comes out, and he's like, dude, that was freaking awesome. And I was like, you said, dude, that's freaking awesome. You're like, what, 40-something? But I didn't say that.
He's hip.
I mean, he actually is pretty cool.
No, I'm saying he's going to break his hip.
I hope not.
Brandon, if you're a fan of PDT Podcast, I wish you no ill will.
Don't fire me.
I don't know you, actually. But I hear you're good.
Yeah, he went on, and he talked about how I did my job well. I walked back out, and Heather likes to smack talk me because she can, and Sean's not going to stop her. So I walked back out, and then Brandon was like, that was a really good sale. And Heather's like, was it a perfect sale? Which is when you get just way too many things in a sale to a certain number of every kind of product. And then I was like, well, it wasn't a perfect. If I sold another pair of shoes with it, it would have been a perfect sale. And she's like, oh, well, she's like, there's always room for improvement. And I was like, no, Heather, this was perfect.
I've peaked.
And then she was like, well, it wasn't a perfect. I'm like, no, this was perfect. And Brandon's like, yeah, Heather, this was perfect. And I was like, yeah, Brandon, you're on my side.
You sort of like move behind him and look over his shoulder and like, yeah, Heather.
Yeah, I'm going to hide behind your boss, Heather.
What are you going to do?
My job, I'm on my way out the door at this point because I'm 20 minutes past when I should have left. So I've got like an outer shirt on. I've like got my sunglasses on, hold my water bottle, got a backpack. I'm like, I'm out the door, and I'm like, yeah, this was perfect. And Brandon's like, yeah, he's great at his job. I'm like, yeah. As I'm walking out the door, yeah. And you hear my voice going, yeah. As I just get quieter and walk away, and then Brandon like leans at the hallway. He's like, "It was nice to meet you, Andrew." And I'm like, "Same, Brandon. See you in like a year." And then he's like, "Cool." And then we never spoke again after that.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah, I really
gives me the warm heckin' fuzzies.
I do like that my boss's boss thinks I'm cool, and he's like, "I've heard good things." So. And he's like, I was like, "I don't believe you."
You are blowing smoke up my ass.
Because I'm like, everyone here just smack talks me the entire time I'm here. And he's like, well, you hit your sales mark, so I mean, you're doing fine. I'm like, yeah, but I was here, you could have done better. And I'm like, well, you know what, Sean, could have done better.
They believe in you. Just take it at face value already, please.
Yeah. My story of the week was just meeting the regional manager.
In a seamless transition, I don't know how I want to do this or how we want to do this, but Wonder Woman comes out next month.
I think it comes out this month. Or,
I mean, it comes
next month is tomorrow.
It comes out tomorrow month.
I think it's Friday or the Friday after that.
Whatever.
Either way.
Wonder Woman's coming out close. It's getting good reviews. So Andrew and I sort of decided, and Jackie doesn't have a choice. We're going to talk about DC movies. What is good about them, what's not good about them,
mostly what's not good.
How I personally would have done them way better.
Which is a astounding amount of work, and I appreciate it.
I mean, it's not really even hard to do them better.
Ooh, got 'em.
I mean, they're not good. So I, in like an hour's time a while ago, wrote up 30 movies that, not like full scripts, but 30 movies.
Nah, he's got a gift. They're full scripts.
And concepts. DC, if you're listening, my email is pdtpodcast@gmail.com. For business interests, my email is bigdick420. No. I'm gonna cut that out. Anyway,
if DC emails that email, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna check the email for like Graham's audio file and be like, oh my gosh,
torrent. Okay. So the way that I mapped this was similar to how Marvel did their movies, because Marvel took their time because they had the ability to take their time, whereas DC is rushing them out
because they're late.
Because they're late, essentially, yeah. Because they started 4 years later with Man of Steel, whereas Iron Man kicked off in 2008 with the Marvel movies. So
technically, the Hulk one started it, but it doesn't count because they used a different actor.
Right? They don't. I actually don't think they count that one anymore.
They don't anymore, but
right.
They did because they introduced
previously.
Tony Stark as RDJ.
Right.
Yeah.
RDJ as Tony Stark. So the way that I map this out, I don't think we need to go through all 30 movies in detail.
Yes,
we can.
Let's hit the highlights.
Yes, we have to.
So the first movie was a Batman movie.
Comic book killer.
Okay. How Dark Knight Rises wouldn't have been that much before this new Batman movie, but for the sake of argument, we'll just say it's fine. Everyone thinks it's fine. And it was going to be like an origin of sorts. I don't think anyone needs to see the Waynes getting shot again. But
it's the best part of the whole Batman series.
It's been done like 8,000 times, right?
And you're like, and you see Lil Wayne crying.
Lil Brucey boy.
Lil Wayne.
Right. I don't think anyone is surprised by that anymore. It's sort of like,
all right, let's get through this.
It's sort of like It's sort of like how Spider-Man, like if they did another Spider-Man movie, which they're doing, we're probably not going to see the scene where he gets bit by the spider, because everyone in any civilized country of any degree knows how Spider-Man gets his powers.
And if not, then go, how
does he get his powers?
Spider-Man?
He jumps off a building into a vat of spiders.
Wait, that sounds a lot like Joker.
Yeah, and then jumps into a vat full of clowns.
Joker Man.
I'm Joker Man.
Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive clown. Anyway,
he shoots webs.
So it was going to be Penguin and Black Mask in like a gang war, and Batman breaks it up essentially.
So
then the next one is Man of Steel, and that would go. And I'm thinking the title of that one is Man of Steel, because I mean Superman is probably
at the time
taken.
When you're writing this, I'm assuming they didn't have the new movie Man of Steel made yet.
No, they had.
Oh, okay.
They had.
Still.
This was like
what they should have done.
So Man of Steel is I think I wrote this after Suicide Squad.
Okay.
After I saw Suicide Squad,
and you were like, man, they could have done anything better.
Right. So Man of Steel the villain is Lex, and when it ends, it's not like Lex is in jail. It's Lex is free because he has an army of lawyers that basically help him not be connected to anything, literally anything.
Man,
and so he gets off scot-free.
Lex ever pays his lawyers, but it's not enough.
No.
Because how consistently he's wrecking up that city.
Right.
And he's never and very few times is he in prison. I'm like, your lawyers better not have to work a day in their lives other than after the time you wreck the city, and they're like, well, honey, I guess I gotta go to work.
And I like the dichotomy of Lex and Superman that's sort of seen in Smallville a little bit.
Haven't seen it yet.
Smallville's pretty okay. It's not amazing.
Better than CW shows?
Yeah, it has plenty of problems. Yeah-ish. It's sort of where all the classic CW shows started. A lot of guys taking their shirts off.
Ooh.
Right.
Comic book killer with the hot take.
Yeah. So Man of Steel, and so the dichotomy is sort of set up in that is that Lex wants to be a hero, but Superman is so much more of an obvious hero.
Yeah.
And so Lex wants to take out Superman because he wants to be the hero. He wants to be everyone's savior. And so if you set that up and say Lex is manipulating Metropolis into giving him power, and Superman wants to remove that power because he doesn't think that Lex should have that power, then that sets up the dichotomy of Lex hates Superman, Superman hates Lex, But Lex is currently untouchable because there's a big chunk of the city that likes him, and he has a ton of lawyers that will stop him from being connected to any criminal conduct. Third movie is Batman. Batman's more established, and I'm thinking that it would skip ahead a little bit, so he's a little bit more old and grizzled.
Yeah.
This one is called Batman Absolute Zero, because it has Mr. Freeze and Catwoman, I think. Something like Catwoman steals something that Mr. Freeze needs for all the science, etc., whatever. Then Wonder Woman. I don't know a ton about Wonder Woman. Like, when I was trying to think of, like, oh, what's a good Wonder Woman villain, I thought of Cheetah. End of list. And you could do like Ares. You could do a bunch of stuff in the Amazon, in Themyscira, but I don't think there's a whole lot there
because she leaves,
right?
And there are a lot because the writers like, man, we wrote was this 3 comics of Themyscira? Oh, jeez, we already ran out of stuff.
Right.
She's got to go.
There can be only so many of her fighting like a tiger or whatever it is she does on Themyscira. So I'm thinking it's just like a basic origin story, because I imagine most people's connections with Wonder Woman is she's either A, a feminist icon, or B, that cartoon from the live action show with Linda Carter from the 70s, which was fine, but also very dated. So after Wonder Woman is Batman versus Superman. And I'm thinking that in Man of Steel, there's some sort of event that takes out a big chunk of Metropolis, and Lex causes it, tries to blame it on Superman, but Superman doesn't really take the blame either. It's sort of blamed on, like, structure failure or something like that.
Structure thing.
Right.
Insert city.
Right.
Technobabble.
But Lex sort of doubles down on blaming Superman and starts producing these robots that will help defend the city in lieu of Superman, and that's the idea of Metallo. Metallo, if you don't know, Metallo is a robot is sort of like a cyborg that's powered by kryptonite, and so
sounds like Superman's gonna have a bad time.
Right, and so Superman needs help. So
hot take.
Batman guest stars in Metropolis and takes out Metallo, and they team up, and that sort of sets the seeds for Justice League Tides of War, which is where basically Aquaman is the villain of sorts.
Yeah, because originally he was a villain.
Right. And so I'm thinking how this would go is that Aquaman is being manipulated by some deep sea guy and tries to attack the overworld or attack the land, and they try and fend him off, and then sort of Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman talk to him and are like, hey, this guy's really manipulating you, why are you doing this? And then everything works out. Then there's another Batman movie called Batman Asylum. I'm thinking that it's just the plot of the Asylum game, of Arkham Asylum.
Which are good games.
They're amazing games. If you haven't played the Arkham games, play the heck out of them, because they're great.
I realized the other day, I was looking at how my completion is in each of those games. I'm at like 85% in each of them, because I just sit there and just bust through like the whole game just straight, and then go, oh my god, I've played that many hours, and go, I need to do something else. And then I would get into another game, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've beaten that. But then I haven't, so...
I've beaten all of them, and 100%ed more of them than I think I would like to admit. I think I've 100%ed all of them, which is really disappointing. Except I think some of the challenges and stuff in Arkham Knight, I don't think I've done all of those, because those are dumb as hell.
Either way.
Then the next one is Wonder Woman Menagerie, where Cheetah has all these like sub-villains. The problem with Wonder Woman is that she's basically just female Superman with a sword and a shield.
Which is why I've never really liked her.
Which is why she's kind of like, she has a lot to her, but it's sort of hard to create villains, because it's hard to create villains for Superman too.
The fact that it's taken well over 50 years for us to get to a point where we're making a Wonder Woman movie, people are excited to go see.
Right. And so I think if they can do, I don't know a ton about Wonder Woman, but if they did something with Cheetah and the Menagerie and how it's like a hunt or theft. That would be the basis for the Wonder Woman movie. I think that'd be fairly easy to pull off. Then Man of Steel 2, Phantoms of the Past, which is Zod and all the typical, like, Zod comes to Earth and Zod wants to rule Earth, and
because
Superman,
Zod's kind of a dick. Right,
and Superman wants to stop Zod, and superhero fight ensues, etc., etc. And I think that would set up for, like, Zod and his band of misfits. Oh man, thank God. Zod and his band of misfits look for Earth to find, to basically say, okay, where we were is being wiped out by this big force, and so we need a new place to stay. Hey, look, it's Earth. Hey, what are you doing here, fellow Kryptonian? Hey, you could rule alongside us. Oh, you don't want to do that? Let's do a big fight. And so that happens. Then the next movie is the Flash Origins. I'm thinking he could take out Heatwave, Captain Cold, and Trickster, because Flash is absurdly hard to write villains for.
It's because all of his villains were very 60s, 70s comic books.
It's very Silver Age comic books.
Yeah, like...
It's a lot of like, ooh, he's got a gun that's makes fire. Ooh, Flash, what you gonna do? And it's like, I'm going to run fast.
I'm gonna run around him and punch him in the kidney.
Right.
Like...
But that was back when the gimmick of Flash was he's fast, and they didn't get into like the science or the implication of that.
I think what I like about Flash is the way they've changed the way they've approached whenever he appears in anything. Now he's more like, I'm in the Justice League.
Right.
Or then Batman's like, I need your help. And he's like, okay, because protecting my city is a joke.
Right.
He's aware.
Right.
Like the reason he shows up and he has all this banter, and then just like his fight scenes last for 30 seconds, he's like, banter, 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 punch, 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 punch. He wins. And then he zips him off to jail. It's
hardly a challenge for the Flash.
Which is why I think it's cool when other heroes are like, hey, Flash, I need help. Because you're smart,
someone fast,
and you're very useful.
Right.
And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll help Batman.
Give me 1 second. And then he stops all crime for a day in his city and then just runs.
Gets another key to the city.
Right.
I like there's... doesn't get a little too cocky.
There is a moment where in one of the comics they reference how he's gotten the key to the city, like, way too many times. Where he opens up this secret closet he has with flash shoots. There's like so many flash shoots just lining the walls, just a bunch of those little rings with the suit stuffed in, laying everywhere, and there's just like an actual small pile of keys to the city just stuffed in the corner, just all on the floor. And I'm like, man, he really cares about getting the key to the city.
Flash is great.
You can tell he runs home, literally just runs home, opens the closet, chucks it in, closes the door, gets in his PJs.
So I'm thinking that Flash Origins would have, like, Flash gets his powers, and then some, like a prison break or something lets all these people out. They could have been from Gotham originally, I was thinking. Like,
it'll need to make Flash a little bit more brutal.
Right. So, like, Heatwave, Captain Cold, and Trickster could have gotten out of, like, Blackgate or Arkham or wherever. And because realistically, trying to hack it as a criminal in Gotham isn't possible.
Yeah.
Because it's just essentially being...
all the heavy hitters.
Right. It's the biggest pissing contest in criminaling and crime as possible
how Gotham
in DC.
Works with crime. It's a big pissing contest. Then the Joker walks up, pulls his pants down, and takes a giant dump all over everyone. And everyone's like... You win. You win, man. That's some guts. And then half of them hightail it anywhere else.
I'm gonna check out of that one.
The mob is like, we'll just get quiet while the Joker does his thing. And Batman goes, why is the floor covered in actual poop and pee?
It's
and
like,
he spends half
Joker
of it.
here.
And he's like,
oh, jeez. Go back to Arkham. And so Flash Origins... And that is sort of like, I think more time would be spent with Flash getting his powers and trying to figure them out and trying to balance like a job and being the Flash. And so it's a lot of him stopping petty crime, and then Heatwave, Captain Cold, and Trickster start to like terrorize the city, thinking that that this city is like, well, we couldn't hack it in Gotham. This one's going to be fine.
Cakewalk.
Right, and then the Flash just saves everything. Then that would lead into Justice League Darkness Falls.
Sick.
Which would be Darkseid.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking...
Good villain.
I'm thinking that... And it's not... I think because what I'm worried about in what they're currently doing is that they went from Batman vs. Superman, which is sort of like Justice League 1,
Haven't even seen it yet.
I'm gonna spoil it. Is that okay?
I don't care.
Right.
I heard nothing good.
So it's
fine.
It's very okay.
That's what I figured, because I don't care.
It has
heard a lot of spoilers.
It has some really cool parts and some things that I really like, and then it has a ton of stuff that I don't like, which is why I made this list.
Yeah.
Basically, the villain in that is Lex Luthor, and then they shoehorn Doomsday into it, and it's just way too long, and Doomsday's weird and not done really well. And
I'm imagining it's a lot of Lex doing stuff, and then Doomsday comes down and just backhands Lex, and then kind of...
No, Lex creates Doomsday.
Yeah, that's...
Using the Kryptonian chip. The plot of that movie hardly matters.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that there's a fight between Batman and Superman is sort of just like, hey, I'm gonna fight you, man. And it's like, hey, don't fight me, man. And it's like, I'm gonna fight you, man. Okay, let's fight, man. And then they're like, oh, your mom is Martha? Same.
Bros. Let's crack open a cold one with the boys.
Right, let's go just beat the hell out of Jesse Eisenberg.
Quick side note, they could have cast a lot of people and it would have been better. Like...
I think Jesse Eisenberg did fine.
I think there were much better.
If he had been given a different... I struggle... I think Jesse Eisenberg did fine with what he was given. I think the fact that he was given something not good, and he... I think the concept of Lex was flawed enough that I have a hard time blaming Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
And I think the way Jesse Eisenberg played him was sort of okay. I wish he had done more research on Lex. What I'm hoping with Lex in the next one, just to end this side note, not that it needs to end, but
yeah,
is that... Because in the end of Batman vs. Superman, he's in prison.
Yeah.
Which is sort of very un-Lex for him to get put in prison.
Yeah, it's super weird.
But I'm thinking that his time in prison hardens him into this, like...
real badass.
Like, brutal, very obsessed, rough Lex.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of Lex you're going to see, like, training to beat the hell out of Superman.
Yeah.
And making a freaking suit.
What I was hoping they would do when they were talking about doing this movie, and they were like, hey, Lex is going to be in here. I, along with a lot of people, wanted Bryan Cranston to do it, because he looks like an older Lex.
Yeah.
But if you watch Breaking Bad, those intimidating moments where he has, where you're like, I'm scared, and I'm just watching.
Right.
And he's just an old guy.
Right.
Watching Bryan Cranston do Lex would have been great, which would have been him more towards what you're describing when he's a little bit more hardened.
Right.
But
I'm thinking
it'd be tougher to start with that. I think Jesse Eisenberg will get there, but I think if they wanted to start him off with Lex being, like, not just a smart guy, but, like, already kind of a hardened, tough kind of guy,
I think
he would have been perfect.
If they didn't want much of a... If they wanted, like, endgame Lex, he would have been okay. Bryan Cranston would have been okay.
Perfect.
He's a little on the old side, but...
Yeah, but
because if you think about
that.
the fact that they may be doing movies until, like, 2030, like, Bryan Cranston's going to be a bit old then.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston, if you're listening, I adore your movies.
You're
I'm
great.
not saying you're old. I'm just saying compared to Jesse Eisenberg, you're older than Jesse Eisenberg.
Please be on the podcast.
If you want to come on the podcast, my email is pdtpodcast@gmail.com. So after, I'm thinking that in Justice League Darkness Falls, it starts with the Abin Sur Green Lantern being attacked by Darkseid.
Sick.
And in a wounded escape, he crashes into Earth, and the Green Lantern ring just bolts off and we don't hear anything about it until like the end of Justice League, where it's found by Hal Jordan.
Sick. I'm glad you chose Hal Jordan.
I mean, it has to be Hal Jordan.
Well, yeah.
I would love to see... Well, I'll get there. So after Justice League is an Aquaman movie where he goes after Black Manta, who is... I don't know, I'm thinking he kills his son or something. There's quite a few stories with Black Manta.
Black Manta really messes Aquaman up consistently.
Yeah, I think there's plenty to do with Black Manta. Then Man of Steel Legion with Brainiac as the villain. I think there's plenty of things you can do with Brainiac.
Really good villain, too.
Especially with, like, if there's a bunch of alien tech sitting on Earth that they're cleaning up, I imagine Brainiac will be some AI that's discovered and starts to, like, invade all the technology.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I forget, because Brainiac's not one of the villains I've looked into much. He was made by the Kryptonians, yes.
I think in one iteration, or like in a few iterations, he was created by the Kryptonians.
He's one of the villains I haven't cared much about.
Yeah, there's several different versions of him, and I struggle to keep track.
Yeah.
But you saw Man of Steel?
Which one was that? The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
Right.
Yeah.
That one, what some of the Kryptonians did with, like, the TVs and, like, the warnings and the symbols, I'm imagining Brainiac doing that with, like, where he slowly takes over our very technologically controlled world.
Yeah.
And sort of, like, turning the world against Superman and starting to take over more technology and taking over social media and all this other stuff.
Sounds like Batman's worst nightmare.
Absolutely, it does. And I think that we would see a little bit more of Lex as him and Superman sort of begrudgingly work together a little bit.
Which is always a great dynamic, because they're like, man, we need to beat this guy, but if you die, I'm not going to cry much over it.
Right. And it's I don't think we'll see Lex in his suit, but just Lex's resources fighting against what's essentially just a giant computer virus is going to be something that Superman can't do.
Yeah.
Then after that is Flash. I love this title, Flash Case of Emergency, because it features Mirror Master. And I think that Mirror Master's the closest thing in the Rogues Gallery to a villain that can handle Flash on his own.
Yes. Very much so.
He has the power to travel into mirrors. And
like a mirror dimension, basically.
Right. And so I'm thinking that he kidnaps Iris, or he kidnaps some friend of Barry, and then that's whatever. Then the next one is a team up of Cyborg and Green Lantern.
Ooh, man!
I'm thinking
I want to point out that that team up right there is a 11 out of 10 in my book.
I'm thinking that it's going to have to do with Carol Ferris.
Yeah.
And Carol Ferris, who's the boyfriend of Hal Jordan. Or girlfriend of Hal Jordan, not boyfriend. Hal Jordan is her boyfriend.
Some gay boy shit right there.
I'm thinking that Deathstroke is like out to kill her for some reason.
Because someone hired him, or
right? Because someone hired him, or she has some tech that he wants, whatever.
Could be anything.
And so Cyborg is assigned to protect her because she's like on some sort of. Her company's doing some commission work for the government, and so Cyborg is brought on to protect her. And I'm thinking that Hal Jordan just hates it. It's like, I don't like this guy sniffing around you, being Hal Jordan.
Because Cyborg's a sniffy kind of guy.
Right, because he's not. He's super not. And I'm thinking that at the same time, Hal Jordan will have the ring and be like, I don't know what to do with this. And so a lot of it's just like, do I tell Carol? What do I do? Like, do I put it on? And I'm thinking that will sort of be like a backdoor origin for Green Lantern, where at the end it comes down to him putting on the ring, taking the power, and using it to fight Deathstroke. And with Deathstroke in jail, that leads to the next movie, which is Suicide Squad. Yeah. Where Amanda Waller is looking for... Amanda Waller hired Professor Ivo to create a machine, a robot, sort of like Metallo, to fight superhuman people.
Because she does not trust superhumans.
Right, because she's very distrusting of superheroes.
She's Batman without the good qualities.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also not...
And so Professor Ivo basically took the money and ran. And so Amanda Waller is saying, hey, why don't you kick the hell out of Professor Ivo? He has this machine, which is Amazo, to protect him.
Amazo's a lot of fun to watch, and every time they use him.
He's really interesting. And so I'm thinking that Amazo would be the villain for the Suicide Squad movie. They find Professor Ivo, like, hidden in the desert or something, and they have to take him out.
For the comic book killers who don't know who Amazo is, he's the one who takes the superpowers of those that are fighting him mostly.
Yeah, he can study people who have powers and produce them.
Which is why when Superman shows up every now and then, everyone's like, go away, oh my god, go away. And he's like, I have to help. And they're like, you can help more by just staying on the other side of the planet.
Right. And so the end of that is with the Suicide Squad finding out that that Ivo didn't just cut with the money, that this was a test for Amazo, who failed because the Suicide Squad won by, I don't know, blowing him up or something. And so they get thrown in jail because they are like, hey, Amanda Waller, go yourself. We're going to go off on our own. And Amanda Waller's like, hey, welcome to jail.
I'll kill you if you try to walk away. And they're like, right. No, you won't. She's like, don't test me.
Right, I won't let you walk away. Then the next one is Wonder Woman 3, which would be Circe, I'm thinking. Like, she tries to make a pull for rulership of Themyscira, and Wonder Woman returns to Themyscira to sort out...
To have that definitely not happen.
Right, sort out all the bull crap. Then Flash 3. This one's going to be weird because Flash 3 is Flashpoint.
Which is great.
Flashpoint, if you haven't read, is how they rebooted New 52. How they introduced the New 52. Basically, Reverse Flash went back in time to prevent Barry Allen's mother's death. And then everything got all cockamamie turned around.
It's a real mess.
It's a real mess. And so I'm thinking that Flash 3 would be a direct tie-in to Justice League 3, which would be the Flash and all of the, like, Flashpoint Justice League trying to fix this.
Yeah.
And that would probably have to be, like, 2 movies, I imagine.
Yeah.
They would never make that movie because...
It would be a real tough thing to make well.
Right.
Also, rebooting a movie series makes people very upset.
It wouldn't even be a direct reboot.
No.
I imagine that it would end with everything going back exactly the same, and that's totally okay with me. Then the next movie is Green Lantern Corps, which in Flashpoint there would be some reason why Hal Jordan and now Kyle Rayner and all the other Green Lanterns have some sort of reason to be all Green Lanterns at the same time. I'm thinking they fight Sinestro, yeah. And that would be the Sinestro Corps. I'm thinking that would be that there's plenty to do there.
I want to point out a brief side note on that. I like how Sinestro changes, not because he's like, being a Green Lantern sucks. He's like, using fear makes me more powerful. And I'm going to fight evil by being more powerful.
Right.
And that just kind of tilts the correct viewpoint. So he ends up doing a lot of bad things for really good reasons.
Yeah.
And then all the Green Lanterns are like, stop, it's going to take 12 of us to fight you because you're really making us work hard now.
Right. Well, I
like Sinestro. He's great.
Yeah, Sinestro is really interesting. I think there's plenty that they can do with him.
Yeah,
I don't think they did him justice in... justice.
That Green Lantern movie didn't do justice for anyone or anything.
No, that Green Lantern movie ruined Ryan Reynolds for the DC universe, which is a shame because I think
he would have been a gem,
really good. But now he's playing Deadpool, and I'm very okay with that.
And I'm much happier with that than any casting choice.
Pretty much is Deadpool.
Yeah.
So this Green Lantern Corps would be Hal Jordan, sort of like he used his powers on Earth, and now he's going to get his assignments and learn what it means to be a Green Lantern and all this stuff. And so in the process, he fights Sinestro. I don't want it to be literally anything like the Ryan Reynolds movie. Even if they were like, well, what if we did this? I'll check the Green Lantern movie, and if they did it in there, I don't want it to happen. Because Oh, that movie's bad. Then you have Aquaman, Throne of Atlantis. I'm thinking Ocean Master makes a push for the throne, and Aquaman needs to fight him off, blah, blah, blah. Suicide Squad 2, Reformation, which would be Hugo Strange trying to do a bunch of tests on them, and they're like, no.
I'm not doing that willingly.
Right. You know, I'm realizing I don't think I ever threw in Joker.
Man,
oh, no, I did. Batman Asylum. I did.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that Suicide Squad 2 Reformation would end with Joker being broken out of arm. Then that leads into Teen Titans, and they go up against Deathstroke, who's now fresh out of prison.
So in this movie, who do you have as members of the Teen Titans? Because there's a long list you can choose from.
Yeah, I'm thinking it would be Nightwing, well, Robin / Nightwing.
Yeah.
Probably not Starfire. I like Starfire in the comic books, but
tough for a movie.
It's tough for a movie, and it's tough to do her without looking very fetishy, you know?
Yeah.
She's very scantily clad.
Always.
And is very just like curvy bombshell. That's pretty much her whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's usually what women are for in comics.
I mean, I'm not going to argue. So.
I mean, yeah, but Starfire, that is her exact
I mean, they can
purpose.
do some
also
stuff,
to do weird
but
energy stuff.
generally
Yeah.
they're just fan service. From what I've seen.
In recent times, not as much, but
Yeah.
definitely in the past, yeah.
Yeah, in my very small experience.
Right, which is why Wonder Woman was wearing just like essentially metallic lingerie for the first 50 years of her experience.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, when you got it, you got it.
Yeah, if you can make it work.
Comic book killer with another hot take.
Air horn whenever she has a hot take, which is all the time. Then Captain Marvel, which I'm very excited for them to do the actual movie. As soon as they cast someone in Captain Marvel, Shazam, who is, what's the word? Good. So Black Adam would be the villain. I wrote this in twice. I don't know why.
He can cast as Black Adam.
I mean, The Rock. The Rock.
Yeah, 112%.
I'm very curious about The Rock's ability to play Black Adam. But I'm thinking that whoever's the director of that movie just looks at The Rock and is like, The Rock, you've got a ton of personality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personality in there. I want you to push that as deep down as possible.
Because DC said they're casting him, I thought.
Yeah, I think he's already signed a contract.
Because they were like, you look
out next year.
Actually like Black Adam.
Right. Believe it or not, a big Samoan guy looks a lot like...
a big Samoan guy.
Like a big Egyptian guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, as long as that casting... Like, I think that movie, regardless of how The Rock does, I think that movie's going to be interesting. Assuming that they do it justice with Shazam.
Shazam is a great character if done correctly.
Yes. If done not correctly, it's just immensely cringeworthy.
If you want to have a good time with Shazam, go look at any of the animated DC movies where Shazam is in there, or some of the old Justice League ones with Shazam.
Go watch the Young Justice TV, the Young Justice cartoon.
Oh man, Shazam's great in that because
Shazam is amazing in that.
I love that the Justice League sometimes doesn't know that he's a kid, and Batman finds out, and he's like, "How did I miss? There's a freaking 12-year-old in the Justice League. I'm a failure.
I dropped the ball here."
And you know he disappeared for like a year and a half, and he's like, "I need to figure out who in here is a 12-year-old." And you're like, "Bruce, no one's a 12-year-old." He's like, "How'd you know I was Bruce?"
That's exactly what a 12-year-old would say. Then, after Captain Marvel, Justice League Dark, which would have Constantine, Swamp Thing.
Oh, Swamp Thing's good.
I really want to see a Swamp Thing movie.
I want to see a good Swamp Thing movie.
That. That's just a big notification on the laptop. That's nothing. That's Graham's laptop having just loads of cancer.
It misses him.
Loads of cancer.
Then Teen Titans 2, which would go up against Red Hood.
Oh man, that would be good.
Then Green Lantern Corps, where Hal Jordan... I'm thinking they could possibly do Hal Jordan as the villain, where he like goes crazy with power.
Because that happens.
Because that happens in the comic books, which would introduce Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
I think they would skip Jon Stewart, which is very racist of me, but I don't think Jon Stewart's all that interesting.
His story's not as exciting.
Because he's just a construction worker.
Yeah.
And so all of his structures, like his stuff he makes with his ring,
Metal beams.
it's like
cranes.
It's like construction equipment. And it's all very structurally sound, and it's fine.
He would be good
amazing.
in like a Green Lantern Corps movie where he's
Right.
one of the Green Lanterns that's
Right.
there, and
I'm
you're
thinking-
like, cool.
I'm
sick
thinking
reference.
that between Green Lantern Corps, which is movie 20, and Green Lantern Corps 3, which is movie 20, or sorry, Green Lantern Corps 2, which is movie 29, that there would be that would develop, like Hal Jordan has been Green Lanterning for a little bit. Jon Stewart is now a Green Lantern as well for whatever reason, and then the Guardians of Oa decide that Hal Jordan's going a little nuts with power, and so they decide, hey, Kyle Rayner, you the new Guardian, man, you'll do. And then this cartoonist from New York is like, okay, I'll make a bunch of wacky stuff with this ring and fight crime. I love Kyle Rayner.
It's great. A
Kyle Rayner's
cartoonist is the
amazing.
perfect
Right.
person. You want creativity in a Green Lantern?
Yeah. You have Hal Jordan, who makes a lot of like planes and guns,
Because
and
he was in the military.
because he was in the military. There were some moments of whimsy, but it was a lot of that. It was like brick walls, anvils, stuff like that. You have Jon Stewart, who's like, oh, I need to fight this guy, let's make a crane. And then you have Kyle Rayner, who's like, oh, I need to fight a big guy. How about I give myself a mech suit that's just like really, really strangely ornate? Or oh, this guy, oh no, he's coming at me. I better build a train real quick with a working train engine and like a working train whistle, so it like goes by and smacks into the guy and goes boop boop. I love that. It's amazing.
He's like, what
every
if
part
you
of it.
took a Green Lantern and there was a little dash of the Flash?
Right, it's great.
Oh my goodness.
Just a little silly.
I adore Kyle Rayner.
He's
and
great.
I would love to see him done well in a movie.
In any capacity, if I'm going to be honest.
Then the 30th and the last one that I came up with is Titans versus Justice League. And I'm thinking Starro would be the villain for that. So Starro is like a starfish alien thing. And it basically, in previous incarnations, he would just like latch onto your face and would control you. I'm thinking that if they did this in a movie to make it look less dumb, it would be like a tiny little spore that like locks onto your neck.
Or something just like no bigger than your hand.
Right.
So just latches on somewhere.
Or even if it's, I mean, there would be a lot of ways to do Starro, I think, really
Yeah.
well. And so the Titans are not taken over, and they have to fight the Justice League, who are
Which is
taken
always
over.
fun to watch because the Titans just get shellacked
Right.
the first half of the movie because the Teen Titans is just like a testing ground, really.
It's like a B list.
They're
It's-
like, okay, you're young, you might make it to the Justice League, let's see how this goes.
Right.
And then they go, no, you don't make it. Or they'll go, you're killing it.
Right.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Right. And so I think
It's really just a holding ground for little kids with
Yes.
superheroes.
this would
So
be
that
the
Batman can watch them.
this would be the Infinity War, because the cast would be colossal.
Yes.
Because you have Raven, Cyborg,
Beast Boy.
Robin, probably Beast Boy, I think.
He's such, I feel like, even though his character is very just what it is,
Right.
he's like a staple of a lot of the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you have Cyborg, Robin,
The
/
thing-
Nightwing, Raven, and then insert a couple other teenagers, and you're like, where's the comic relief? And you're like,
I love Beast Boy.
Beast Boy.
I
Beast
think-
Boy's the comic
I
relief.
think if you add
one
Wally
of my favorites
or
in TV
either Wally or Bart
yeah.
into it, I think that'll be good. Beast Boy, I really like Beast Boy. I imagine he would be a nightmare to do in a movie.
Because it'd be tough to
Oh,
do
yeah.
The special effects would be,
real tough.
yeah.
Unless you get it perfect, you might as well not try.
You'd have to spend so much money making and going frame by frame to make sure everything's perfect.
Right, because it's literally him transforming.
It's
And so even the Transformers movies, if you watch some of them, there are some shots where they just don't do the transformation. They just pan away, play the sound, and then when it pans back, it's just like a car or a helicopter or something. Because
feel like-
they're like, we will go bankrupt trying to do all of this.
It's where like
And
you
we
get in a
cannot-
So
fight
many
scene.
transformations.
Right.
You see a
Exactly.
fight scene and you see Cyborg just punch the hell out of like Batman, and you follow Batman as he flies into a building. You hear Beast Boy make an elephant sound. You look over, and there's a big green elephant just romping on down on a Justice League member. Like, you wouldn't see transformation in the fight scenes.
You would just know that it happens because there's a bunch of green animals running around.
And then there's like every now and then you see him transform into like a fly or a freaking a T-Rex, or they would have some big just shebang kind of money shot of him transforming into like
money shot.
His go-to T-Rex.
I'm thinking that they would make him somewhat capable untransformed, not like I'm thinking like typical Olympic level athlete.
He's got his
skilled martial
claws, climb walls.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that to save money on how to do that, they wouldn't make all of his ability based in he can transform into animals.
You're not going to leave him as a scrawny little green teenager?
No, he'd have to be older to
the cartoon.
He'd have to be older to last half a second with the Justice League. I think Andrew's hot take, the Flash is the most powerful person on the entire Justice League.
I mean, if you're thinking like, it's sort of different because if you're looking at Barry Allen Flash,
well, it depends on which Flash.
He like becomes the Speed Force.
Yeah,
like he runs so fast and is like he gets absorbed into the Speed Force and becomes the Speed Force.
Whoops.
Wally West is faster than Barry Allen.
Yeah,
but he's sort of more. I mean, he's a cop.
Yeah,
and so it's like he's a little bit more. He's not Jesus.
Yeah.
Barry Allen is Jesus, essentially. Is comic book speed Jesus. And so Wally West is a great guy. He's very selfless, but he's not Barry Allen selfless.
Yeah.
And so I think if you look at Barry Allen, for Pete's sake, Graham, get a new computer. You did. Good job. If you look at like Barry Allen would like. Surprisingly, the Flash CW show does a good job of this, displaying how Barry Allen would do anything for his friends and family.
Yeah.
Almost always to his detriment.
Yeah.
But I think Wally West is going to do a lot for his friends and family, but he knows that line. Where it's
he's like that's not going to work out for the larger group of humans. Right. No.
Where it's like,
sorry.
If I save you, I will wipe out half the planet. I'm sorry. Like,
so Barry has a little bit of tunnel vision?
Yes.
Little bit is the wrong word.
I can't. The problem with the CW show is that in the comic books, Barry Allen one of the problems with the CW show, I should say, is that Barry Allen in the comic books, there was a lot of, like, tempering that. It was like, there are going to be moments where Barry Allen is going to be really dumb about what he sets as priorities, but there are going to be moments where he's like, where he does the right thing because it's the right thing beyond just like,
I'm sorry, but this is the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the show, it's like, oh, my friend's in danger, I need to help. And it's like, but if you do that, the city's going to explode.
No,
and then he's like, but Iris.
Right.
And you're like,
or don't give up your speed because the city needs your speed. We don't stand a chance against this schmuck without your speed. And he's like, okay, I give up my speed. It's like, no, Barry, listen, we just went over this. Don't do that. And he's like, it's done. I'm sorry. It's like,
and then he tries to regain his speed, and you're like,
and he's like,
I can only watch him running on a treadmill for so long. Right.
Yeah.
The show is bad. Don't watch The Flash.
See, that's funny you say that because I really like it, but I haven't made it past the first season.
You see, it's one of those things
where the first season's good.
I think every CW show, this first season is good.
Right.
The rest of them, you're like, you don't know what you're writing about anymore.
Right.
But you're like, if you go in expecting a 1 out of 10 and you get a 3 out of 10, you're like, it's bad, but I knew what I was getting when I got into this.
But it's better than I expected.
When I went into the first season of The Flash when it was on Netflix, and I'm like, I'm out of things to watch. So I clicked on that, and I was like, expecting like a 5 out of 10. I got like a 7 out of 10. And I was like, it was good.
It's alright.
And then the second season started, and I was like, still expecting my 7 out of 10, and I was like, oh no. Oh, jeez.
The Flash has the same problem as Smallville did, but with worse dialogue. And the problem that Smallville had is that there are this many superhero or Superman villains.
Yeah.
I'm measuring an amount for those who can't see me because you're listening to a podcast. There are a finite number of Superman villains that will work in a TV show. And they did pretty much all of those.
Yeah.
But they sort of understood that since this is very much an origin story, it's Superman just like starting to work with his powers, starting to learn them. He's in high school in Smallville. He's not like Metropolis flying around Superman. He's very much a teenage Clark Kent who will someday become Superman. They're like, okay, we can't put him up against Darkseid when he's 16. So they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Well, there's like this big character arc with Lex and how Lex is like, I think the character development of Lex across the few seasons that I've seen was pretty good. It gets really dumb eventually, but it's pretty good. But then eventually they start hitting like, here's Zod, here's Doomsday, here's Bizarro, here's, I think they ended with Darkseid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean there was like 11 seasons, so yeah.
Jeez.
And so I think they did that well. The problem with Flash is that there are a finite number of villains that the Flash can viably have as a villain. That is an even smaller list than Superman.
Exponentially smaller.
Right. Because you have I mean, in this movie list, I put 3 of his like big villains all together because they're bad. And the Flash can run at the speed of sound plus.
He can vibrate his molecules and phase through walls.
Right.
And people.
If the Flash wanted to obey Marvel rules where it's like I'm stopping crime by killing, there would be no crime.
He'd walk up and go phase his hand through someone's heart, destroy their heart, and they're dead.
Right.
And he's like, I fixed Gotham in a day. What's up, Batman?
It wouldn't remotely be a problem.
Which is why I think he's debatably the most powerful.
Yeah, and I would probably agree with that.
He's just restraining himself.
Because he's a goofy guy.
And so the idea of making a Flash TV show, it's like, okay, well, he did Heatwave, he did Captain Cold, he did Trickster, he did Mirror Master, he did Weather Wizard. Well, they haven't done Mirror Master actually yet, have they?
Yeah.
Right.
Unless they did it in the season I haven't seen, because I'm only going to watch it on Netflix.
No one's going to watch season 3.
I'm going to, but I'm not going to have fun.
And so what's left? You have Reverse Flash, and you have Zoom.
Done that.
Which are just fast people.
They need to do a season where the big bad guy isn't a speedster. They did that season 1, and they're like, season 2, okay, we have a good show. We're going well. We're doing good.
But
they're like, okay, stay with me, everyone. What if we did the same thing again, but we got a change in costume? And everyone was like, we can sell that.
You're
and it was
right.
bad.
Everyone was like, yeah, good job.
And then they're like, okay.
This is why you make the big bucks.
And they're like, here comes season 3. We lost like half our viewership. Things are going bad.
We gotta turn it around.
We gotta do something
how we're gonna
else.
turn it around?
So we're gonna do a marketing campaign where the bad guy's gonna look really brutal. And everyone's like, okay, I'm with you. It's gonna look really tall, really big, really strong. We're like, okay,
Wait, but
here we
hold
go.
on. Wait
And he's
for
like,
it.
but he's a speedster. And everyone's like, this is why you make the big bucks, man. Yeah, good job.
Yeah,
because
keep bringing in that CW cash. We just gotta have like 4 guys take their shirts off. Yeah.
And so
Supernatural's keeping us afloat. Yeah.
And so should they get picked up for season 4, which I imagine they will,
Right.
I suggest they do something really cool, like reboot everything so that half the characters are superheroes again. Because what I've heard is in season 3, even though I haven't watched it, it's Cisco, the Caitlyn girl, and someone else all get superpowers. You've got 2 speedsters, superpowers, and all people. You've got like a team.
I mean, it's a freaking Oprah Winfrey show with the superpowers.
You get superpowers.
They need to undo that.
But you get
Right.
superpowers.
Enter Mirror Master.
I'm thinking Mirror Master. If they made Mirror Master like, I don't think it would take much for Mirror Master to be a season-long villain.
I would manage my expectations. CW show effects are not going to make Mirror Master this like, oh my gosh,
right?
But like, it's going to be like, well, that's not ideal. But like when they had the gorilla, I was like, it's what I expected. Like,
right. I think Grodd. I kind of forgot Grodd. I think they could do Grodd well.
They could do Grodd better. Yeah,
and I think doing Grodd and Ultra Human, I think that would be fine. But after that, like, what's season 5? Well, I think they did Grodd in season 3. So
probably,
okay, so what's season 4 now?
Speedster.
I'm thinking if we'll make a guy and he'll run fast. And it's like,
legitimately,
no, that's the main character.
Like what you were saying, season 1, 2, Speedster. Season 3, haven't seen it, but like I was pretty sure you said they did some. They did.
I think they did some Grodd.
And they did another Speedster. I'm not gonna say spoilers, even though I'm probably the one who watches it.
I haven't seen it. I'm
pretty sure it's Barry Allen from the future, which makes no sense. I could be wrong. Again, haven't seen it. Season 4, Mirror Master.
Yeah.
Season 5. Don't pick it up for season 5.
No. You've run out of ideas. The only thing that you could do with the Flash is if you start throwing in Superman villains, which is what they did with Arrow, where it was like, oh, Arrow. There's a lot of content for Arrow. We'll do Merlin, and we'll do... oh, God, we're out of ideas for Arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make him Batman.
Yeah.
Yep, done. Cash.
And I said the next season, someone was like, I like the interviews when they interview Stephen Amell about Arrow. And he's like...
Because he's brutally honest.
And they're like, what are your plans for the next season? And he's like, I'm thinking of maybe growing out the goatee. And they're like, what about the story? He's like, the Arrow might have a goatee. And I'm like, you got him. I was reading online, however...
A full season of Stephen Amell growing a beard is the whole thing.
They gave in one of the shows, I forget which one, because the CW's crossover just far too much.
Yeah, I didn't even try watching Supergirl.
I did. It's the worst of the first seasons. I'll leave it at that.
Here's what I'll say about Supergirl, and this was my problem right when I saw the first commercial, is that Supergirl implies the existence of Superman. There have been a lot of problems in the DC universe that this takes place in, even before it was causing problems for even before Supergirl was crossed over with Arrow and Flash.
Yeah,
it implies the existence of Superman.
Yeah.
So why is Supergirl having to fight any crime?
Here's the thing. What they've done is they've moved her to a different city. Also, they're in a different... Dimension's the wrong word. Because the one time they're crossover...
Right.
The Flash runs at a weird speed, vibration, who cares?
Frequency.
And goes into the wrong universe. And he's like, oh my god, where am I? And then Supergirl finds him and the things happen. But I think what I'm taking from CW... There was rumor they were going to move Stephen Amell out of CW, shut down those, and make Stephen Amell a movie Arrow, which I would be fine with because he looks like the Arrow more or less. He doesn't have the weird Archer like Robin Hood goatee and mustache. That being said, he did grow it out one time in between seasons. Took pictures, and people were like, "Oh my god, they're doing it!" And then he's like, "Time to start shooting," and took a video, and he just like shaved it all off, and everyone's like, "No!" And so like,
tease.
Yeah,
right.
So he grew it out, and he would do it perfectly. I think it would be great.
That was one of the holes I had in this list was Green Arrow, and I even wrote it at the bottom here, Green Arrow.
He's what do I do? I think they'd have to introduce him how in the Marvel Universe they introduced Hawkeye. It was like, he's a hero already. He's here. He's doing stuff. Look, he showed up.
Right. But I think...
Hey, you're here.
I think part of the problem, and this was true with CW as well, is that when you introduce a character like The Flash or like Supergirl, there's a power level that's there. And so the idea that Green Arrow has any right hanging out with these like big dick superheroes who can, punch the earth to death.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance. Like, you see that with Batman, but that's sort of the expectation with Batman, is that Batman spent like the first quarter of his life training and
learning every martial art
and learning how to train his body and his mind. Plus, he's a technological genius. Plus, he has all of these boundless resources that he uses on all sorts of bull crap to save the day.
Hot take is what the CW got right. The Arrow seems to be like about 10 years older than all the other heroes, which is why when like they're like the Flash and the Arrow are gonna fight, it's a big event and everyone like watched it. It's a lot of the Arrow just getting the tar beat out of him, and then he has this moment where he's at a distance and he's like, I'm gonna slow down, I'm gonna briefly think about what I'm doing, lines up a shot and just wrecks Barry Allen in like 4 quick moves, and he's like, game. And Barry Allen's like, you didn't beat me, no, and he pouts a little bit. Like, I feel like what they did right was they're heroes without powers, where like you're saying, if you can't beat the tar out of the earth, you have to make them either spend a quarter of their life training and having resources, which is why if they don't have like superpowers, they're rich, have resources, have spent years in other countries training.
That's why Iron Man stands a chance against Captain America.
Yeah, because he has billions of dollars.
Because he's a bit older, he knows how to fight enough, and he has enough help from a super suit.
Yeah.
Which is what Batman is. Batman even created a Hellbat like mecha suit.
It's really cool.
That's just really dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb, but it's pretty cool.
It allows him to stand toe to toe with someone like Superman.
I think what you mean is not dumb, but dope.
Da 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G.
I mean,
I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Just peeking out.
Hey guys, I apologize for that sound. I hope you weren't driving a vehicle.
If you have a problem for Andrew and want to email him, his email is PDT podcast
at
420gmail.com.
Yeah, make sure to add the 420 in there so I don't actually get
69, 69, 69.
So
anyway,
sitting here, like, I say we wrap it up here.
Yeah, probably.
Let's answer. In the next 4 minutes, we're going to answer a question from last week and ask a new question.
So, question from last week was, what is something odd/specific that you really like, and what's something odd/specific that you really don't like? I said putting my feet in water and catching my fingernails on things as like and hate respectively. Andrew, you said ice baths.
I like ice baths. I really hate either being constrained, like if you can't get like a backpack off your back,
right? Or
kinetic
sand. That's what I was.
Yeah, those oddly satisfying unquote videos on like Twitter, YouTube, where people are like, kinetic sand, I'm gonna cut through it, and they're like, and everyone's like, those are great, and I'm just like, oh my god, please stop. No, don't do this. All right, yeah. Something you like.
All right, comic book killer.
Something I super like is the feeling of like all those like little tiny chains or like necklace chains, and then just like slowly gathering them up in your hand.
Yeah, you're super right.
Or even if you like unhook it and hold it above your hand and then slowly lower it into your hand.
Yeah, like just the gathering of tiny chains in my palm.
Yeah, you're super right.
I love it.
Something odd that you hate.
I don't know if this is necessarily odd, but I very much like, okay, so Andrew, your room has a fan that's very powerful, and that when I come and sit in your room, I get the little tiny wispies in my hair, and they just sit there and like flutter against my eyes.
Tickle. No, I get that.
Yeah, when you have little hair. Yeah.
And like if it'll drive me nuts, but if it gets too far, I sit there and it's just like a press on my head, and like the more pressure somehow solves it. But I hate just the little stupid little baby hairs.
If I'm like wearing a baseball cap and I have longer hair, and I'm driving, and you have that like one little hair that gets caught and just sort of like tickles your I just like
it's why I started this habit. If I wear a hat, my hair's longer on top, I will always just like sweep it all backwards, and then just put my head down, so I'm like, there's no hair getting out in the front.
No, I don't know if you guys know this feeling. I don't know if you guys know this feeling, but when like you put your hair up in like a ponytail or something,
no, I don't know that feeling.
Or like you do something with your hair,
maybe,
and there's just like 1 or 2 hairs or a very small chunk that like didn't make it into the ponytail. It just frustrates me.
All right.
So much.
What's the question for next week, boys and gals?
Didn't you have one?
I did, but I forgot it because we've been talking about DC.
Alright, that's fair. Well, you can check out this video of cutting kinetic sand.
Go kill yourself.
I'm watching it because I want to know what you're talking about. This person's using an ice cream scoop.
Oh my god, I hate this. Why am I watching you watch this? It's not even. I hate this.
I kind of don't like it either.
I just get like this, like if I was to sit down and they just appear on like my timeline on Twitter, I'm just like, oh my god, no, and I just like scroll really fast. What's the question for next week?
If you had to have a super specific, very like overly done cake for your birthday or something.
Dick.
What?
Van Dyke.
What theme would it be?
Van Dyke.
I don't know. This is probably a stupid question.
I feel like I think that's a good question.
What would
something that's like outrageously like probably cannot be done.
Like it'd be some sort of themed cake.
But somehow it's possible. And it tastes fantastic, so don't worry about that. It doesn't matter like physics. What kind of cake?
Okay. I already know, knowing myself, no matter what my interest is, it's going to make me sound like a big heckin' nerd.
I mean, yeah.
Here's what I want. You said physics don't matter, right?
Yeah, this is just...
3 feet tall.
Okay.
Reinhardt from Overwatch. With the hammer. Just this giant cake.
I want a life-size Peter Dinklage.
I want
like made out of cake.
Jesse Eisenberg cake.
As Lex Luthor. No, okay.
No, it's...
Alright, we will answer that in more official terms next week. Thank you for joining us on PDT Podcast.
It's
quite a trip.
It's been a real freaking nerdy podcast. I imagine we'll return to less heckin' nerdy stuck.
Party Dank Tim.
Peter's
Peter's Dank Tim.
Peter's Danky Toes.
Peter's Danky Toes. Bye.
Bye bye.